Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Buenas noches. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. We want to begin this evening by reading a land acknowledgement from the Occaneechi Band of the Saponi Nation. I would like to acknowledge that we are on the land of the Ino, Chudalo, Saponi, Occaneechi, and Shakrori people. We are gathered today on land that was traditionally part of their territory of the Saponi people, in the Piedmont of what is now the state of North Carolina. This area is not far from the great trading path used by both native and non-native people during the early years of contact. The Saponi people, whose descendants include the Occaneechi Band of the Saponi Nation Indian tribe, still live and thrive in this region today, officially recognized by the state government of North Carolina. We pay respect to the elders, past and present, the Occaneechi people, the Yesa, ask that you will keep these thoughts in mind while here on their ancestral land and treat it with the respect, love, and care that their ancestors did, and as the Occaneechi Saponi people still do today.
Good evening, sunshines. I just want to take the time to welcome everyone to our event tonight, Stories of Alamance County. Thank you all so much for being here. We're going to take a moment for our team to introduce themselves, and I'll start. My name is Bobby Ruffin-Alston, and I'm the Recreation Superintendent for the City of Burlington.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Vanessa Drew Branch. I'm an Associate Professor in Human Services Studies.
I'm James Shields, and I'm the manager at the African American Cultural Arts and History Center.
And I'm Danielle Lake. I'm a director of design thinking here at Elon and a faculty member.
I am Sandy Marshall, and I'm an associate professor of geography in the Department of History and Geography.
I'll just speak a little bit about why I am involved with this project. It's very near and dear to me. Many of you in the room know that I used to be the director at the Mako Bigelow Community Center at North Park, which is a staple in the community because it's where Black people could go to congregate, to have their church events, to have their family events when we were segregated. And that history still lives on. And so when I was the director there, we would have people come in every single day telling stories about where they grew up and the celebrations that they partook in at North Park. And so I really wanted to find a way to preserve these stories, but also share them. And so I met these fine individuals, and we were able to start recording these stories and share them with the community. So it's just been a beautiful space where we can honor the history that is here in Alamance County, where we can bridge generational gaps and we can co-create with one another. So I'm really excited that this work is it's growing and it's continuing to make an impact. So we're gonna have just a little bit more information about our collaborative and how we have grown over the years.
So I'm honored to be a part of this initiative that's been ongoing since 2018, and we're going to continue it into the future. These are some of the founding members of the collaborative. Roger Moore, if you want to come up as well, and getting this initiative going, but also sustaining it into the future has been our goal, and so that we can continue to capture stories from the community. The vision really is to examine the way that we create our places and to create more participatory opportunities to imagine who and what we want to be into the future. And by sharing those stories, by having these conversations and continuing this kind of work. And this project has evolved over time to involve now 50 different storytellers. We're going to continue to do that work. Their stories have been featured at public screenings every year, at community dialogues. They've been put into our local libraries. They've been put into some of our local businesses. We've had community campaigns and dialogues that continue. They're on YouTube, they're on websites, and that work's continuing to grow. They're also a part of curriculum that's been ongoing across the past 4 to 5 years at Elon, as we've created courses and projects to continue to support these initiatives over time. And that's our goal, to sustain that work and to continue to build these partnerships. As a part of that, we've created a community poster campaign, social media campaigns, again, I said dialogues, book reads, public screenings, walking tours of our community, of our histories here, and digital stories. And we've interviewed people from our school systems, from the local government, from local businesses, artists, activists, parks and recreation, emergency workers, and so on. And so continuing to capture those stories with the commitment this year and next to focus on diverse faith communities. And essential to that work, Roger Moore was able to partner with us, one of our initial storytellers, and help us gain funding to continue this work this year. And I'd love to have him say a few words about that.
Hello, everybody, and I hope you all are having an amazing night. I would first like to thank everyone up here with me for all the work that they have put in for this amazing project and bridging the Elon University with the community of Alamance County, and just visually and orally recording our stories for history to last forever, so that we all can continue and bring knowledge to all of our stories for generations to come. We applied for a grant at Impact Alamance called the Community Forward Grant. And it was an honor that I was chosen to help come up with this and apply, because I was very passionate about this project, just the spirituality aspect, the diversity, the awareness, and we got approved, and me and Danielle are going to come up with some great things in the future for you guys, and to continue funding and hopefully bridge Elon University with the Alamance County community and keep that going.
We'd also love to have Mr. Shields with African American Culture Arts and History Center come up to say a few words about this partnership.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Shields. I'm the manager of the African American Cultural Arts and History Center, and I bring you greetings, especially from our executive director, Shanice Sellers. The African American Cultural Arts and History Center basically was a vision of her mother, Miss Jane Sellers. The idea that we tell the stories of African Americans here in Alamance County. She understood, as she read all these books about Alamance County, that some of us weren't in those books, even though we all know, and those of us who have lived here all their lives, we understand that we helped build this town as well. We helped build this county. We have contributed to this county. And so part of her vision, part of her passion was to tell those stories. And so she partnered with Dr. Sandy Marshall and others and started to tell these stories. And I know that she's looking down on us right now. I can feel it. And she's loving what she's seeing right now. This is how we build community. And so a lot of times we have to ask ourselves, who gets to tell your story? Somebody else or you? Because if you let somebody else tell it, they might not tell it correctly, right? Stevie Wonder tells us, you better tell your story well, right? And so this is what we do. We're just very, very proud to be a part of this partnership. And shameless plug, please come by the center. We're at 2381 Corporation Parkway. Right now, we have an exhibit called Duty, Honor, and Country. And it's a salute to African American veterans. We have a whole wall of pictures of men and women who served our country. A lot of these men and women you don't hear about. You don't hear about the fact that going all the way back to the Revolutionary War, that African Americans were part of this fight for freedom. And so we hope that you will come by, see the exhibit, see the other exhibits as well, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.
So our goal for tonight is to feature the stories that we've captured this fall semester. We're going to have 3 panels with 3 different themes. We're going to show you 3 of the stories, and then we're going to have a conversation together in the room about what we've noticed in those stories, about ourselves, about our community, about our future. And then that's our evening. We'll do it again. We have 9 total stories from incredible communities, organizations across the county that we're going to feature. And please feel free to continue to help yourselves to food, move around if you need to, and we'll get going. Our first panel is going to be about cultivating community, And our very first story is with Lorena Mesa Laura. If we can have our student storytellers come up to introduce the story and the vision for that story, and then we'll feature those first three stories. Reverend Walter Allison will be next, and Sister Rizwanagal.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well this evening. My name is Landis.
My name is Sam.
And I am Delilah.
And we had the privilege of interviewing Miss Lorena. If you can wave real quick. Yes, yay. Yeah, and we're so excited to see you all. Yay. And we're so excited for you all to see her story this evening.
Our story, or Lorena's story for you all tonight is called Faith in Place, A Journey to Community. We feel really honored and privileged to be able to help Lorena share her story, and we wanted to say thank you very much for letting us, and we hope you enjoy.
El Señor es mi pastor, nada me faltará. En lugares de verdes pastos me hace descansar. Junto a aguas de reposo me conduce. Él restaura mi alma, me guía por senderos de justicia, por amor de su nombre. Aunque pase por el valle de la sombra de la muerte, no temeré mal alguno, porque tú estás conmigo. Tu vara y tu callado me infunden aliento. Tú preparas mesa delante de mí en presencia de mis enemigos. Has ungido mi cabeza con aceite. Mi copa está rebosando. Ciertamente el bien y la misericordia me seguirán todos los días de mi vida, y en la casa del Señor moraré por largos días.
Ms. Lorena, Lorena, Mesa Lara, Meza space Lara. I was born in Jalisco, Mexico, but I grew up in the state of Nayarit, in a small town where everyone walks to school, and just about everyone knows, all the residents. That's how it used to be. Very tight community where we would gather for celebrations, even though there were different communities for big celebrations like Independence Day. Everyone would gather together downtown and celebrate as one community. It was easier to come together, but now that we're in a different country, a lot of people, for example, my older brother, my older sister, they live in another state across the country. Not all of my cousins are here, right? They're also in another state. And so there's more of a separation in this country. When we arrived to Alamance County, I feel like I was in a search of that unity. I was in a search of, community and family again. And one of the places where I felt that I could find that was our church. So it was Blessed Sacrament Church, and that's where it was and it is the only Catholic church in Alamance County. And so it was definitely a place for the Latinos to come together. It was easy to feel at home, and even though there were different, for example, there were some leaders or volunteers from the church that were from, one of them was from Cuba, the other one was from Costa Rica. So we were from different countries, but we all felt that we were, from the same family, because it was, that unity and the faith that we had. It was definitely a very special place and moment, I feel, for many of us that were having faith in something that you probably, can't see, right? Because if we speak about, our beliefs, who do you believe in? Who do you follow? It it's a big part of you, who you are, and what you do for others. And so Mother Teresa, to me, is a great example of how we need to accept each other and how we need to act with kindness, and faith gathers people, right? How celebration, tradition can also gather community and celebrate traditions here at the Dream Center. I have the opportunity to celebrate some of the Mexican traditions and some of the Latino, Latinx community. So Christmas is definitely a big part of our traditions, and I believe the majority of the Latinos or the Latinx community, we love to celebrate Christmas. We love the Christmas story, and how it comes with hope, how it comes with faith, and just like Mary and Joseph, right? They migrated, they moved they traveled, and so that's a story that many of us can relate to. We travel to another state, we travel to another country, we are also immigrants. Having collaborations, having those partnerships, even in the faith, in different churches, I feel that it is so beautiful, because the more that we show each other respect, the more unity there will be, and the more love we can have in our community.
That's really special.
Thank you.
Hi, oh, that's really loud. I'm so sorry. Hi, everyone. My name's Taylor.
My name's Kelsey.
My name's Eliza.
And I'm Owen.
And we just wanted to take this time to thank Dr. Lake, Dr. Marshall, and Reverend Walter Allison, there you are, for such an awesome and inspiring story. And we hope you guys love the story as much as we do, and hope you guys want to make Alamance County a better place.
My name is Reverend Walter Allison. The date of my birth is February 17th, 1953, and I was born here in Alamance County. I grew up in the Glen Raven area. I was born and raised there. I was raised in the home of my grandfather and grandmother. I just love that area, the Glen Raven area, and I still go there every now and then just to see the people that still live there that I knew in the past. And yeah, I liked it. I really did. When I first started going to elementary school, it was all black. It was Glen Raven Elementary School. And my experiences there was that when we had new books to come in, they were already old books, and I think they came from the white schools, which was like the white elementary schools, because they had pages torn out, where the page where you put your name in the book, it was full. As a matter of fact, a lot of them was run over. We had to actually write our name on a different page in the book. When I went to middle school, I went to Jordan Sellers Junior High. And I really liked that Actually, at Glen Raven, I started in the band. I was playing trumpet. And when I went to Jordan Sellers, I continued playing in the band. And I really loved playing the trumpet. I was one of the top 10 trumpet players in the state of North Carolina at one time when I was going to Jordan Sellers Junior High. When they integrated schools, I had to quit the band to keep my grades and things up. So I never touched the trumpet since then. It was really devastating going to school at that time. But the first day of school, after we got to school that morning, I went to my homeroom class. And all the white children in my homeroom class moved to the opposite side of the room. The next morning, I went to the opposite side of the room and sit on that side, and all the kids moved to the other side of the room. So that was my first couple of days' experience in middle school. And it was it felt really bad because I was thinking that something was wrong with the classroom or something of that nature, or something was wrong with me. The reason nobody wanted to sit with me in the classroom setting. I am all for social change and community activism. I'm one of the religious leaders in the Alamance NAACP. I belong to the Alamance Racial Equity Alliance, and I belong to the Alamance County Human Relations Commission. And yes, I've been out protesting for change here in Alamance County. I've spoken to county commissioners at commissioners' meetings about changes here in Alamance County. I've even been arrested here in Alamance County for my stance on different things here. I see that the older generation, it remains the same, pretty much. And I think back when the kids that were in school, high school with me, are the same kids, the kids that went to the other side of the classroom when I came into class and sat down, and the next day the other side. I see them as the ones running this county now. I would like to see, I wouldn't say more diversity, but I would like to see the changes of people's minds about diversity, and how people think about the racial inclusion here. And I'd like for people to know that Alamance County is a unique place in the scope of diversity right now and the way it used to be. And I just think that if I can shed a little light on what has happened, maybe it would change something in the future.
Can I ask why you decided to return to Alamance County after facing the discrimination you did?
It was home. This is where all my family were, and my friends, and I decided just to come home and live the rest of my life here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name's Anna Rakes.
My name is Ronnie. My name is Rocco.
And we had the privilege of interviewing Sister Rizwana Gul. And so through our story, we hope to share with you guys the love and power of the Burlington Masjid and inspire a newfound appreciation for this community. So we hope you guys enjoy. Thank you.
I moved early 80s, and I moved because when I got married, so my husband's here, so I moved with him. We wasn't connected with anything, but the time passed and we came over here. So I want to be connected with my religion and all this too with my kids, because when they go to school in here, it's completely different. We don't have any families in here except that community friends. It's a big shock for me because of how the dress code, all the dressed up, how they talk, how the food, living style is completely different. So it was hard for me first, but like I said, the people around me, they were very supportive. They help us a lot, and I see the love. When you see love, you pass love. But after, especially for the going out, grocery, and school system also. When my kids go to school, it was hard for them also, for me too, because they don't know the language. They don't know anything about it, but they was helping us a lot for ESL classes, a lot of kind of stuff. So it was pretty good. I'm a single mother of 4, and that Burlington Masjid helped me, support me, damn much they support me. Even back home, sport, they wasn't agree, but I did. I don't know, the girl's gonna get married, how they're gonna go, how the boys, how is she gonna raise without a daddy, especially in Islam. They helped me a lot for every single thing. Because when you have this situation, you be in depressions, all kind of kids, financials, all, yeah. But alhamdulillah, my older son, mashallah, he's graduated from Georgetown, and he's in Army. My youngest one, he's graduated from Chapel Hill. Then my twins they graduated from Chapel Hill. And this was like, Allah did all this for me. And this community helped, especially the masjid. Part of our Islam, it's a part of our Islam too. So we have to take care of our neighbors too. When you finish with the family things, you have to take care of your neighbors. It does not matter what kind of neighbors. So like when you show somebody how concerned we are, how giving love and all kinds of stuff, they see that, okay, what kind of religion they are. We all here in this world, different nations, different religion, different colors, all this. It's diversity. We want to make sure everybody first is safe. That's the main thing is with the love and with this district. It doesn't matter what nation you are. We are human. When you are here, they were calling your names, making sure the sister, brothers, welcome you in here for the masjid. And the events are every day, like a first Jummah prayers. Everybody's here, all this diversity in here. It's not like just Pakistani, Arabic or something, it's diversity. You can see all kinds of people in here. Jummah prayer, and we have that service, and after Jummah prayer, we serve the lunch also in here for donation for the masjid. If somebody wants to attend that brother's class, sister's class, they can teach you for that. Or if somebody was non-Muslim to taking Shahada, they can come over here to get the Shahada also. We help and support them also. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day we have all these different programs. So when I start this Burlington Masjid, join this masjid, to me it's a beautiful place, and it connects you to feel everything. We have you name it, we got in it here. Alexa Community Clinic, Sunday School, funeral arrangements, youth groups, Sister Halka's group, like adult classes, Jummah prayers, Eid parties, Eid program, Ramadan, food pantries, homeless friends, we feed them at the shelters, refugees. All these people, and when you do something for them and they need it, we help each other, and they make up our beautiful one family. The main thing is love. If you have love, believe me, everything is going to be good. I want to grow this masjid bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So, and it is growing. It's a lot of different states, country people come over here too. So it's growing. We want to more grow, inshallah.
We want to pause you with these first 3 stories and engage in a conversation around some of the themes we noticed emerging from those stories and from their lives. When we first saw the connection between these, we wanted to think about where we find community here and what kind of community we want to live in. At each of your tables, you should have some sticky notes in front of you for that conversation, because we also want to capture your ideas in this room tonight and put a report together, right? This is a part of ongoing work that's going to continue into the years ahead. We want our leaders to know what we're imagining here. What kind of a community do we want? Where do we find community here? You have student facilitators at most of your tables to help you with these conversations. We're hoping you'll jot down your thoughts on the green sticky notes for this first round, and we're going to place them up around the room so that we can capture the ideas that emerge from those conversations. And we'll be walking around if you have any questions. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about our first 3 stories.
Okay, can I ask for the student facilitators at the tables to go ahead and place the green sticky notes on the poster boards that are placed around the room for me? The student facilitators, do that for me. Awesome. Okay, we're going to get started with our next segment of videos. I would like to introduce the next section, and we're going to look at faith in action. And our first story is going to be Ms. LaToya Slade.
Hi, everyone. I'm Olivia.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Sophie.
And we had the pleasure of interviewing Miss LaToya Slade, which was really cool because we had a full circle moment with LaToya's dad. Had an interview here before too, so that was really cool. It was a privilege to learn her story and just to learn more about her life and her journey in her faith community. So enjoy.
Still living kind of like the rich Latina life. This poor. So my full legal name is Mary, M-A-R-Y, LaToya, L-A lowercase t, O-Y-A, and S-L-A-D. But I do prefer to be called LaToya. I was actually adopted, and I joined the Slade family when I was 6 weeks old. So from 6 weeks until now, almost 40 years old, Elon First Baptist Church has been my home church. So my journey in this community, I would say, has been an integral part of how I see myself now, in terms of just me being in this space. Of course, my dad now has a park named after him. He was the longest serving Board of Aldermen, now Town Council. So just really seeing just how he had an impact on the community and to have representation in the town itself. Of course, I looked up to him and, really tried to embody that sense of leadership. I'm always referred to as Little Lawrence, or Slade's daughter, and I don't mind it so much. I'm definitely trying to, forge my own path to create a legacy of my own, but I feel honored when I meet someone in Alamance County, and the first thing that I can say to them is, well, you probably don't know me, but you know my dad. And they're like, who's your dad? And I'm like, Lawrence. Like, oh yeah, I know Lawrence, yeah, with the barbershop. And I was like, yes, of course. So it just brings just an overwhelming sense of joy and pride to be his daughter and to continue on his legacy. Even with this interview, I know that he was interviewed years ago, and when I told him about it, he was like, yeah, that's good work. The role of faith in my life growing up, pretty much at the center of everything that I do. It's something that I can say still plays a very important part of my decision making, part of my day. I wake up, I'm thankful, I'm grateful for my life, my space. I think my faith and my relationship with God is very important to me. Really and truthfully, just being that light to shine and, just to tell everybody about how amazing, someone who I serve or a being, over higher being that I serve, that's done great things in my life. I'm a witness. You just gotta have a faith the size of a mustard seed. It is really true. The vivid memory I have for me that impacted me the most, not even growing up, but just fairly recently. It was a peaceful march that ended like in the county square, like in Graham. And then after that, it was just really chaotic, and I remember getting pepper sprayed. Being a law-abiding citizen, I pay my taxes, it hurt. You know what I mean? It really hurt to experience that. And I thought, wow, like racism is alive and thriving in my little county. One thing I think you should know, or people should know about our community, is that we are small but mighty. We were, the first African-American church, actually on books, the first church in Elon to be established by a slave. And I think people should, consider visiting Elon First Baptist Church.
Hi everyone, I'm Nivea.
I'm Grayson.
Hi, I'm Ella. We had the honor of interviewing Dr. Reverend Helen Stiles. She has made a huge impact on this community by working with the church, the education system, and the community. She's created a life full of love and benevolence with open arms and an open heart. She's an absolute inspiration to all who get the privilege of meeting her, and we are proud to present Dr. Reverend Helen Stiles, Inspiring Faith, Community, and Youth Empowerment.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Dr. Helen Stiles. I'm First Lady Emeritus here at First Baptist Apple Street, and it's a pleasure to be a part of this venture. My full name is Helen Penelope Horton Stiles. Was born in Thorpe, West Virginia. My parents moved to Kingsport, Tennessee when I was in second grade, so I was really reared in the community and in the school system there in Kingsport, Tennessee. We moved here in July 1973, so it's 50 years this July that we've been a part of this community. Came here because Reverend Stiles was called as pastor of the church, and of course, where he went, I went. So I learned a lot from him, just about life, about being a minister's wife, just about decision making, just about how he lived his life that helped to shape my life. So he was one of my greatest. Yeah. So I'm a product of community, church, school, and family all working together. I see this as a necessary part of today. I am a product of the whole community rearing young people. The church, the school, the family, and community all contributed to who I am today. The church made sure we had the spiritual background and opportunities in the church to develop leadership. The school made sure that we were educated and grounded, and even knowing about coming to North Carolina, to the schools in North Carolina, came from the school system. I knew nothing about that. But connecting those opportunities and those services makes a difference in the lives of a lot of. I just remember after moving to Burlington, I substituted in the school system there for a while, and I was thinking about going back to school. And by that fall, I was enrolled in Elon. And when I finished Elon, I was hired by the Burlington school system that same year that I graduated from Elon. Went to Elon, got my teacher certification, went to A&T, got my master's in social studies and an advanced degree in as an instructional specialist, and a degree in social studies, master's degree. And then after my master's and worked and even retired, I always wanted to work in Christian education. So after I retired from the school system, I went back to school, Jacksonville Theological Seminary, and got my doctorate degree in theology. And so it was all in the church and being in the school system, I was able, the biggest thing, if I can say this, the biggest thing I was able to contribute to this community, to the church, and to the people of the community, is that I was able to bring all of these avenues together. I was able to bring all of my abilities, all of my knowledge, all of my resources that I had in the church, my knowledge of what was going on in the school system and those kids who needed help the most, and what was needed in the community, and create programs or work with programs or initiate programs that would meet the needs that I saw at that particular time. So throughout my years here, I've been sort of an initiator, I've been sort of a trailblazer, I've been sort of a maverick, if you can say that, in making sure that there were available services for the identified population at that time. Because I am well aware that I'm not self-made. I'm well aware that it was the community, it was the church, it was the school, it was my professors, it was my home that always made sure that there were things available, wholesome things available to be a part of. Working in middle school, I saw a lot of my young boys especially who didn't have either fathers in the home, or they were acting out, or they were always being sent to the office, or they didn't have any respect for authority. And so at that time, I developed a program called Black Male Role Models, where I actually went into the church and community with men that I knew, young and old, and said, I need you. I don't need much of your time, but I need you. I need you to come and walk the halls of my schools and just say hello to my kids. I need you to be able to contact them on Saturdays and say, let's go for an ice cream cone or something. Because I need them to see Black men, especially, in a different light. And so I developed a Black Male Role Models program that lasted for years. And that's what I want to tell to the young people. Don't ever think that it's a dead end. If you can't find anybody, find me. Find me. I'll help you find whoever you need to find. There's always hope. There's always a way. I'm a product of that. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiberius Brooks.
I'm Mary Byers.
I'm Karina Kaplan. And I'm Emma Hash.
And we will first start off by like to saying thank you to Dr. Lake, Dr. Sandy Marshall, the Power and Place Collaborative, for allowing us just the honor of interviewing Dr. Reverend Larry E. Covington. We hope that throughout this video, you start to take away the importance of service in your community and how even when serving your community, you can still become a leader in it.
If you go to the nearest graveyard, what you're gonna have there besides bones, you're gonna have a lot of unused potential that could have been used richly to make the world a better place. Larry Covington, I like to identify myself as the youngest of 5 sons born to Edna Virginia Hooper Covington and Johnny Covington. I am presently the pastor of the Ebenezer Church here in Burlington, North Carolina, and I've been here for 28 years and enjoy the work. My life was filled with, I guess, any other young child of my generation, born in poverty there in Danville, but we had an enjoyable life. You know, everybody else was poor, so I didn't know I was poor. We had an enjoyable life, eventful childhood. So a lot of the ministries that I'm involved with at this church come out of pages of my own autobiography. I never forget when they were coming down Patton Street, and this is clear in my mind as a small kid, coming down Patton Street, I was with my mother holding a hand and seeing the police with the billy clubs on the horses and shouting and obscenities and et cetera, expletives at those that came off of peaceful demonstrations. But she turned and we ended up in the A&P grocery store just as shelter, I guess, to shield me from seeing what was getting ready to go on in terms of people being locked up, taken to jail. And if you go to Danville now and go down Patton Street, the courthouse is still there, the big courthouse is still there, where my mother hid me as a small kid. So seeing that as a young child sort of stuck in my head. And so I became sensitized to the movement. And since being an adult, especially being back here in Alamance County, after the George Floyd incident and other things, becoming engaged. You know, I think that a church and a Christian leader should care about what's going on with the people that they pastor and should be involved in their lives. And whatever affects them affects him or her who's the leader. I try to lead by example. I never ask the congregation to do anything that I will not do. So if we are doing something, if we're feeding the hungry, I'm going to be out there feeding. If we are volunteering in schools, I'm going to be volunteering. I believe that you lead by example. If we are championing a cause of police brutality or whatever, I want to be someone out there as a loudspeaker leading the way. I never forget seeing my father, who was an alcoholic, come past my window when I was in elementary school. And he was inebriated and sort of stumbled and fell. And watching children, my peers, sort of laugh because it was a close-knit community. We knew each other. I went to Edward A. Gibson School in Danville, Virginia, we're still there. And that gave me a passion to be involved with trying to get people off addictions. You know, 2 or 3 of my brothers sort of was involved with addictions. So dealing with that experience gave rise and passion and drive to developing ministries and ministering to people who find themselves in the clutch of addiction. We developed what we call the Hope House, which is right beside the church here. And the Hope House came about because of that picture, that if someone was, quote, down on their luck or was displaced or could not pay their rent or what have you, that we would take them in for up to a year in a fully furnished house. And they can save their money and we can help relaunch them. But I never forget something that Robert Schuller said. Inch by inch, life is a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. So if we're helping people cinch an inch along and make them a better person, we're making the world a better place. So we work on the micro level, but also on a larger scale. We try to be a part of boards and commissions, things like that, that will contribute to the betterment of the local community. I want to be known as a servant. I've either been forced to be a servant or I've enjoyed embracing being a servant. And I think life has situated me and built me for service. And so, and that's why I get my greatest joy. And as I look back over my life, I want to die empty because I would have given it all out to the Lord, to my wife and family, and to whoever else that I come in contact with. You know, I have to tell my wife maybe that. You know, they just put that on the tombstone. That'll be great.
All right, everyone. How about that last round of stories? Excellent. So we really enjoyed your insights from the first round. You all talked about where you found community, in your homes, in your places of worship, in your work, in your neighborhoods, and you talked about the places that you want to see happen in our community, places where we can get to know each other across difference, disagree with each other, where we can celebrate diversity in stories. You talked about community centers, libraries, and other spaces. So now we want to ask, from the stories you've seen so far this evening, How have you seen people putting their faith into action? How is that similar to or different from your own experiences of faith or other traditions that you were brought up in? And then what change is needed in our community? So all the people we've heard from tonight are putting their faith into action to create change. What change do we need in this community, and how can we bring that about? So go ahead again at your tables, have some conversation. Our student facilitators are there to help take notes, and we look forward to reading what you come up with next. Student facilitators, if you can collect the pink sticky notes and put them up on the board, that would be great. Just about ready to get started with our last panel.
Hello, my name is Brent Chandler.
I'm Julia Lee.
And I'm Nigel Rollins. And we have the honor and privilege of showing Sister Sakina Ishaq's story tonight, her journey to Islam, her strength and her morals, and her experience as a Sunday school teacher at the Burlington Masjid have taught us so much, and I hope y'all learned something too.
Sakina Majida Ishaq. Sakina is S-A-K-E-E-N-A-H, which means peace and tranquility. Majida, M-A-J-E-E-D-A-H, means glorious. And Ishaq, I-S-H-A-Q, is the Arabic word for Esau, Isaac. The first name, Sakina, is very important because I think we should all have and be about peace. It's very important because these days and times we don't find peace. Everything is hectic, sporadic, warsome, and we should all be about just getting along with each other, living together cohesively, and not trying to overtake anyone else. So birth is Newark, New Jersey. I was born in 1950. We moved here in 2008. So initially we started in Greensboro, Islamic Center of Greensboro, I think it is. It's a large community. And it was fine, but then my mother died. My mother came with us. My mother died, and my husband found Sister Amal. And I just felt warmth with Sister Amal. And very, very, very extremely intelligent. And I love intelligence. So this is what led me here. It was quite exciting because when we first came to look at the building, there were church pews and nothing like this at all. And it just felt good. It reminds me of Mecca. It really does. I think it's an extremely welcoming place. And I feel that each nationality gets along. I grew up as a Christian, and I always knew that to me, there was something missing. And also the fact that when at the age of 5, I was going to church, going to Sunday school, and I had questions about what I was reading. I had a dream or a vision, and when I woke up, I didn't want to wake up. I wanted to stay there. I told my sister, who had already become Muslim prior to me, that I wanted to be Muslim. I'm a wonderer. I always wonder about things and about life in and of itself. And I often think about, like I said before, why we're here, why we're placed here. It's just miraculous to me that so many people don't see truth or don't recognize truth, or even deeper, recognize falsehood. Because I'm not the kind of person that just takes whatever someone says. We have a sisters meeting on Wednesdays where we get together and we learn more. So I'm all about learning and furthering my education. I'm right now studying with a brother in Pakistan, my Arabic language. So I'm always learning. You have to always continue to learn and grow. It should never stop. It was exciting to me because I wanted to set a precedent as to how I thought that we could bring children into our folds to show them love and care and just general warmth, like I guess Jesus was to the children. To me, it's not about you portraying information to a person or a child. It's about you showing that child that they can learn. It's all about learning and all about growing. I'm supposed to embody peace, so I try to bring and spread a little peace. I think I was born with it. I can't give it up. It's just here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jimmy Lamore.
My name is Kalen Morrison.
I'm Jen Kobus.
And I'm Riley Galloway.
We want to start by giving a special thank you to Dr. Marshall and Lake, and also Reverend Dan Ficklin of Union Ridge Church. He talks all about the power and importance of listening, especially in today's world, and we hope you guys enjoy.
I think one of the biggest problems we have today in culture is we've forgotten how to listen. And when somebody's talking, instead of listening to learn, you're listening to think, what am I going to say back? What am I going to respond? And so you're not learning and you're not responding to what they're saying. You're not even hearing what they're saying. You're perpetuating a stereotype. You're perpetuating, whether it's racial or political or whatever, you've made up your mind before you go into the discussion. I moved here in 2007 to become pastor of Union Ridge Church. Not very different from where I grew up at all. The only difference is we had the Chesapeake Bay, so we were right on the water, but otherwise a small farming community, very, very similar. The people are the same. I love the people here. I love the pace. When I lived in Richmond, the pace was much faster. I like the pace here. I like the chance to get to know people. It really hasn't changed that much, except when I came here, the average age of the congregation was probably late 60s, and now it's mid-40s. So the demographic has changed of who comes to church, and that's simply by the attrition of death and the coming in of new families. I had been here about a week, and I said I need to go across the road, meet Pastor there. But he beat me to the punch. He called me, and he said, great to have you here. Would you like to go to lunch? And so I met him up at occasions in Burlington. And that started what has been a 16-year meet once a month, once every 6 weeks at occasions, talk. Usually they have to clear us out because he and I will stay and talk until they close. And they've actually told us before, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So they see us coming, they know they're in for the long haul. I call him, he calls me, we talk about everything and anything. Usually at lunch, the conversations are on topics most people wouldn't have today. They'd be too uncomfortable to have it, but he and I aren't. We talk about it all. He thinks through situations, he speaks calmly. I've never once been with Urban where I didn't walk away smarter because of him. I think there was some animosity early in the 20th century because the reality is the members of this church, their ancestors had owned members of that church's ancestry. And so that had to be an awkward time. We seem to have gotten past it now. We had a group 2 years ago, and it was 10 people from my church, 10 people from his, and we got together on Sunday afternoons and had those hard discussions. And Irvin and I talked about that, and we said, okay, let's set this up, and we'll set the ground rules. And the ground rules are you listen, you don't interrupt, you don't cut somebody off. Listen to everything they have to say, and you'll be surprised that they're a human being just like you are. Just watching the development of this country, and especially over the last, you get through the 60s, I lived through the 60s, so I remember all the civil rights things that went on. And then maybe about 20 years ago, it almost felt like it was starting over. Just different. It used to be over. People would openly talk about their racism. This time it's more of a covert, under their breath. You hear what they're saying, but you also know what they're really saying. And it just somewhere along there, I was like, all right, there's a disconnect. And maybe the disconnect is with me. Maybe I'm instead of trying to explain why this is the way I think, let me understand why you think the way you think. And you realize at that point the embeddedness of our theology, of our worldview, of our existence is strong. You learn something as a child and you accept it coming from an adult as true, you never question it. And that's good in some cases and it's bad in some cases.
What is one message that you have for the younger generations of Alamance County that might be viewing this?
Listen. We just don't listen anymore. And listen to more than one view. One thing I've noticed people do, if I have a certain point of view, for instance, I'm gonna buy books and watch TV shows that agree with that point of view. I'm never gonna buy a book that doesn't agree. I'm never gonna watch a show that tells the other side. Until we start listening, nothing's gonna change. There are way more things that make us alike than there are that make us different. And I think if we just learn to listen to learn and stop listening to respond, things will change.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maya Lee.
I'm Haley Johnson.
I'm Cheyenne Jacobs.
And I'm Erin Price. And first off, I would like to start by thanking Dr. Lake and Dr. Marshall and the Power in Place Collaborative for allowing us to have this wonderful opportunity. We interviewed Reverend Irvin Milton, and we hope to inspire everyone to follow in his footsteps of building bridges across people from different cultures and different backgrounds. So without further ado, biscuits and gravy. We hope you enjoy.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchased of God, born of his Spirit, washed in his blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. My go-to song is Blessed Assurance, which is a hymn. It's an upbeat hymn. Many white folks know it, many black folks know it, so it crosses the line.
I use the analogy of knives and forks and biscuits and gravy. Now, if you're from the South, see, a knife and a fork is used to cut meat, and you eat meat. If you don't have a lot of meat, you make gravy. It has the flavor of meat, but it's a combination of other things, and you sop it. You dip your bread into it and you sop it. So I contend that 20 years ago, church life was very knives and forks, meaning intellectual, meaty, and I did not grow up with that, but learned that. With the black folks, they like a lot of what I call gravy, because that's what we have. When we were growing up, the white folks ate the meat. We ate the gravy. Now, my mom, for instance, who grew up in the Baptist church and in the Congregational church, used to say, "Irving, I like some meat with my gravy." So the churches that are growing now are the churches that are mixing the gravy with the meat. And so I've tried to be that bridge that brings cultures and even colors together rather than divided. It's always difficult because people care about, well, in this country and in the world, white is right and black is, like we say, people say if they've had a bad day, they'll say a dark day. When God made good and evil, God made light and dark, and when he made light and dark, he said they both were good. But in our society, dark is not good. The biggest difficulty that I think people face now is the division in this country, which is both cultural and religious. It's out of that context that we have to learn what it means to live in harmony with others, as well as in harmony with myself. Many people do not learn how to live in harmony with themselves. And so consequently, if I don't learn how to live with myself, how do I learn to live with somebody else? So it's out of that I think the church should best teach, and the church has the best opportunity to teach how to live here with each other. God is larger than me. I don't understand God fully. I understand some things about God, and I've been taught that. And so I see God in others. I see God in the worst. I have to admit, I also see the devil in the best. I look for God, though. The devil is going to make his way in.
What would you like your message to be? What would you like people to take away from your story?
That I live each day. I don't spend, I want to know about yesterday, but I don't spend my life in yesterday. I use the analogy that Jesus spoke of in the Lord's Prayer, "Give us this day our daily bread." For me, yesterday's bread is hard. I don't like eating hard bread. Tomorrow's bread is dough and hasn't been cooked. So I live today. And if I live today and enjoy the day that God has given me, if there's a tomorrow, I'll enjoy it then. No.
What an amazing group of stories, right? Learning across different. So on your blue sticky note, we're going to ask that you do this final gathering together and a collecting of ideas. So the two questions we would like you to kind of kick around with one another is, when has your perspective changed because of your interaction with someone who has a different background? And then the second question is, where can people connect across difference in our community? So if you can take a few minutes and write them on your sticky notes, the student facilitators will be able to support the conversations. Okay, so if we can just come back together really quick. Really quick. Thank you. We would like to call up our President Book to have us share a few words with the group today.
Thank you, and thanks to all the leadership in the room that makes this possible. I've come to a couple of the conversations, and I find it really powerful to hear the individual stories. I do think that is the way we connect, and I'm grateful for people's courage to put into words their lived experience and to tell it from a personal story, because it's more powerful. And I have biscuits and gravy in my head. You know, I appreciated the story that the Reverend told us about watching his father walk past that window. Reverend Allison's story about the students moving to the other side of the room. The story about the Hispanic connection to the Catholic community when you're so far away from your family. All of those, and tranquility, right? And our search for peace. I just find that when you say it from the heart and you hear it firsthand, it never goes away, right? What you learn cannot be unlearned, right? And even at our table, the realization, and it was said by the Reverend in the last video, that some of the things we learn are good and some of the things we learn are not so good. And it's really powerful when it's your lived experience to be open to having that changed. And so I'm grateful for the leadership in this room that is saying, I'm open, teach me. And that there's so many teachers in the room, because that's where hope and change, I absolutely agree. So it is absolutely a worthwhile effort. And I just want to thank everybody for continuing to participate, because I'm confident that that love, that faith, that personal narrative is how we change our communities. So thank you.
Thank you so much, President Book. We're honored to have you here, and we're honored to have all of you here. As President Book said, you are all our teachers, and we've learned so much from you. We've been really enjoying all the wonderful comments you had. Looking at how our storytellers this evening have put faith into action. You've talked about how they have been leaders of social justice movements that are rooted in their own faith, how they have been role models to others, how they have created a refuge. It was a wonderful quote someone said, that these spaces of faith are spaces of refuge for each other, for people to come as they are. We talked about on your papers, we saw the change that you want to see. There was some mentioning about a certain statue in Graham that you'd like to see changed. There was a quote, Burlington needs to come into the 21st century. It's a change you'd like to see. To make sure that our faith-based communities are engaged not only in charity, but in economic development, and that there's also spaces outside of faith communities that are also involved in community change, how we can work together through faith communities, but also outside them to create change in our community. As I said, we're so honored to hear your stories, and you all are our teachers, so we really want to hear from you now. we're going to have a sort of open discussion. You've shared so much at your tables, and you've really embodied this notion of building bridges across difference. I've heard so many wonderful conversations, so many commonalities, but also differences among you on your tables. We want to kind of open this up to a broader conversation. Which stories resonated most with you? And what is one thing that you're going to take away from these stories? So these are some questions we wanted to get you started, but we welcome all forms of reflection. So maybe we'll have a couple minutes at your tables to discuss and then share out.
It was said that I want to die empty, and that was powerful to me because that meant a pouring out of you, all that you are. Well, a lot of great things, but that resonated with me. I want to die empty.
We have mics floating around, so yeah, let's go ahead and just start sharing out. What are those moments that stood with you, that resonated with you? What are those messages that you want to take away from this evening?
I think what I heard this evening that really resonated with me was the need for everyone to be safe. And I think we forget that a lot of times, and that has no color, that has no age limit, that has no ethnicity, nothing financially. Every human has a right to be safe. Every human has a right to feel accepted and to feel loved and have a place to go where you feel the love and the safety.
Good evening. I think the thing that inspired me when I heard some of the things that we were discussing at our own tables, I don't know what other people were talking about, but they were so many of the things that among family and among friends and among people of concern that we're oftentimes talking about it, but we're not talking about it with enough people so that everybody hears it.
One thing that our table mentioned that I thought was very profound was for like the last question for the last facilitating, it was where can people connect across differences in our community? And almost automatically, a lot of people would think, oh, race, that's the main disconnect, that's the main bridge, we need a gap. But we were talking about how it's not just black and white, but it goes deeper. It's not just the race, but it's also, did we grow up poor? Where did we grow up? All of these things, like everyone from like the same town, from the same school, has completely different backgrounds, even if they're the same race. So I thought that was a lovely thing to think about because usually people don't mention that part.
Dr. Lake and I are racing.
I think for me, as another storyteller, just looking at all of these stories, the last two, I think really hit home for me because not only did it bring out the positive in Alamance County that bridged the gap between races, but it made us laugh, it made us cry a little bit for me, but really, honestly, if we did more listening actively than just listening to respond, positive change can definitely come in this small county.
I heard some people actually talk about at this table and some other tables going and interacting with the communities that the people in these stories are from. And I think that's great because coming to events like these and learning about different people is all well and good. But if you're going to just take a very curated perspective like this and then go back and live in your own bubble, you're not actually getting to interact with the people that are in these communities and bridging that gap. And that's one of the most important things, I think, is being able to take that knowledge that you've gained from something like this and go out and apply it to actually bridge that gap and be a part of that.
I so agree with you. As the people at my table, they were just so encouraging. The people that we listened to tonight were so encouraging. But one of the things I think that you said as well is that we have to get out of our own little bubble and we have to learn people. We have to learn their differences and appreciate their differences. You know, the two gentlemen ministers who have churches that are right across the street from one another, they get together every month, I assume, and they fellowship with one another. They get to know one another. They talk to one another. So if we do not talk and listen to people, we will never learn them. We will not appreciate what they do. We won't do that unless we make an effort to step outside of our own little box and get to know someone else.
Thank you. That was my sister talking, and she took a lot of my thoughts. But we had an interesting conversation here with these two beautiful young ladies. And the one thing that was constantly discussed with us is that I see you, and all I want is for you to see me. The common denominator here is that we all have a heart. The common denominator here is that we all believe something and in someone. And so when we can all get together, it's like, this is a beautiful dialogue, but what's next? Where do we go from here? It's a great start. We grew up in a little town near here called Green Level, and my sister and I moved back here and really want to make a change for some things and with people in the community, but was met with quite a bit of resistance. But we're not giving up, so we will continue the fight. And this is a great beginning. I applaud you. I'd like to be a part of your group. Thank you.
Before I heard the word twice just now, bubble, we had discussion here at this table about, or the term came up, the Elon bubble. And I've heard that term for the 20 years that I've lived here. It may be a bubble, but I hope that everyone who's here, everyone who attends Elon University, keeps hold of that idealistic bubble and does not lose the ideals that you have been taught, ideals of dialogue with people who are different. The world is a cruel place, and they really want to burst that bubble. Take these ideals that you are learning, that you're growing with, and take them into the world and use them and help change this world so that the whole world can be a bubble of people learning one another, learning that we're all brothers and sisters with each other, no matter what your country, your language, your background, your faith. We are all brothers and sisters. Keep the Elon bubble.
Good evening, everyone. We had a great dialogue at our table. The one statement that stood out to me, and I believe it was Reverend Allison who said that the people who moved to the other side of the room to be away from him are the people that are in power in Alamance County now. So how do we speak to those people? Hopefully some of them are in the room today, but I would hope that many of the table insights can be shared with some of our political leaders, that these videos can be shared with some of our political leaders. There are several people at our table who are with the town of Elon's Diversity, Equity, and Belonging Committee, and the wonderful town clerk who is about to be leaving. Elon is here with us, and I will definitely encourage our committee to share these stories with the town of Elon Town Council so that they can begin to incorporate some of this thinking into the decision-making that they do as political leaders.
Good evening. I think tonight was very powerful. Me being in the community my whole life, I got the best of both worlds. My mother was impactful here and my father. But tonight to be able to hear the stories of the different individuals, it showed me that as a Black man, it can and will be possible, but we have to continue to have these moments. We have to be more than just hopeful, but willing to have the sit-down conversation as Irvin Milton and the pastor, Dan Fickle. We have to figure out a way to make that as they say, a normal thing to do from amongst the young individuals, because I see that we want to unite, but I know there's always the walls or the obstacles, and I hope that we continue to figure out how to bridge the gap.
Thank you. Wow, I am very inspired by everyone's story. Sometimes, we might be so focused on our own challenges, right? Our own difficulties and our own, racisms towards the Latino background or Latinx community, that you may not think oh, wait a minute, this is something that's been happening here. And I had no idea. I thought it was just me because I am Mexican, And so to learn the stories has been so impactful, and not just for me, but I feel that, we were talking in my table how I was watching the Harriet Tubman story, her movie, and literally I had flashbacks. And I asked my sister to watch it and to share certain pieces of the movie with my mom, because I know that she would have flashbacks as well. And it was just so impactful to know that there's so many things that we have in common, and we had no idea, right? So having those conversations, and we agreed to be in touch with each other because we want to share more about each other and how we can work together to, I don't know, we'll see, to work together. But not just like the past right here in the stories, but I also feel that children, are our future. And so how we, with us sharing this, it will eventually, get out there. It will get stronger, thanks to the whole team that's working here. And I'm so thankful for places like the Dream Center, for all the other spaces that you guys, bring to this community, where there could be unity, not just for your own religion, not just for your own race, not just for your own beliefs. So thank you so much.
Before I get started, I just want to have everyone give the people that told the stories and put the post-production with the videos together a hand, because it was awesome. Awesome. I say all that to preface, being here, all of the stories were great. I'm gonna pick one that resonates most with me, but that doesn't mean the other ones weren't impactful. They didn't have a powerful statement behind them. Biscuits and gravy. That was my one that most resonates with me, because I like food. If anybody else here likes food, I think you can kind of understand, but that one, it was easy for me to relate to, because food is necessary. Without it, you can't do a lot of stuff. It's fuel for our brains. I do want to say, what I can take away with me in this case is, I'm a military kid. I was born in California. North Carolina became my home, 5th grade, but I've lived in a place called Fayetteville, which is right down the street from Fort Bragg, formerly known as Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty. As a military kid, I've dealt with diversity. I've had to learn to interact and be sociable with people because of constant moving. So being that my grandparents are from a small town called Rayford, I've never seen anything like this in a small town, and I'm grateful for it, because it gives me a little bit of hope. It gives me hope to see that small towns like this can come together and have places where conversation can be had and it's fruitful. It's not one of the cases where nobody's listening, where everyone's trying to talk over each other. There's been a lot of pause and a lot of interaction. So that's the part that I'm going to take away with me today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yes, Catherine, you want to say? We're going to have room for one more comment, and we have a couple of other things for you.
Just one last comment. I hate to put you on the spot, Reverend Milton. You know I love you. Reverend Pickle, and also Reverend Milton. Reverend Robinson has gone, but I would like to offer a thought or a challenge or a suggestion for all the pastors, and since you two have already started it, there have been several churches that have joined together with other churches. I know First Baptist used to meet with the church, sister church, yeah, First Presbyterian, yes. And I think what would be one way of starting is the way we started out in the civil rights movement was with the churches, through the churches. And I think it would be awesome if the pastors of every religious group here in Alamance County, irregardless of the denomination, would do as you did. Select maybe 10, 15 members from your congregation and have a meet together at different times. Sit down, have those hard conversations to realize we're more alike than we are different. And then when you get through with that group of 20 or 30, then you get another. We have over 100 churches here in Alamance County. Imagine 100 times 20 with 20 different opportunities per year or every 2 years. Talk about change. Change will happen then.
Thank you. We are going to encourage you at your table. So to your points about continuing these conversations, you'll notice on your table a flyer here. This work is ongoing. These conversations are ongoing. In this spring, in 2024, we're going to be taking these ideas and extending those conversations, right? There is wisdom in this room, in our bodies, in our relationships, in our places and communities that we've been cultivating. We want to take that to the next level. And there's an opportunity to sign up now. We'll continue to advertise it, but just to know that we are committed to continuing this work every year, every season, and that there's an opportunity here right there for you. You'll also notice on your table in the center, bound by a paperclip, we have another form where we want your feedback. We need that. We're going to be generating reports. We're going to be pushing those out to different leaders across the community about next steps, about supporting initiatives in places and spaces like this. And so if you want to grab one of those forms, a pen or a pencil at your table, please leave us any additional information about what you valued in this opportunity and what you want to see next so that we can continue to get the funding and the resources to support this work. So I wanted to point you in that direction. The videos. Yes, all of these videos are up on our website, which we can we will send you the link to. I think we have a link coming up if we want to advance the slides. They're also up on YouTube, so all of these are openly accessible. We have an archival platform where everybody can access not just these short digital stories, but the entire transcript from the interviews. It was a painful experience to edit down the power of the 60 to 90 minutes we spent talking with our interviewees into a 5-minute clip. So all of that, all of the richer part of their stories, all of that will be available to you in the next couple of weeks, and we can send all of that information out. So if you scan that QR code up there on the screen, that will take you to the websites that lead you to the transcripts and images and the digital stories that we shared tonight. Not only the stories from tonight, but our stories over the past 4 years as well. Many of our former storytellers in this space. So all of these materials are being archived over time. We wanted to share a little bit more about what's happening in 2024. We also are going to have a story walk. We've been partnering, or we hope to, we've been partnering with Parks and Recreation, with our public libraries, and talking about creating story walks of our community members throughout our county. So maybe at Mako Bigelow North Park, maybe at Beth Schmidt Park, at the middle school, there's a walking track with stories, right? And so we're beginning to imagine how this could look different and how we can continue those conversations. And so I wanted to mention that as a future opportunity as well. We're just starting those conversations, but we're hoping to make that a reality. And if we do, we can bring together a ribbon cutting, we can bring together another type of event. So again, we're trying to imagine, how do we sustain these types of opportunities? And we want to thank all of the incredible supporters that have been involved in this work. This would not at all have been possible without our videographers. Michael Edwards, if you can stand for a second, thank you so, so much. Claire Cohen is an Elon student here that couldn't be here tonight. She's in class, but incredible to have the student and the professional videography support. Our community coordinator, Roger Moore, in the back, if you want to stand again. Thank you so much for your outreach and bringing us all together. The Dream Center, the catering that we had from the Dream Center, from CityGate, as well to Tiffany King for putting that together for us and bringing in community support. We had community youth volunteers supporting those efforts as well. Thank you. And then again, our storytellers, if you can stand, and our students, please stand, and we want to thank you if you're here tonight. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. And that's it. Thank you so much. Please leave that feedback on the form that you have at your table. There's more forms floating around the room. The QR code doesn't work, so if you have that physical piece of paper, anything you want to tell us about what you valued about tonight, anything you want us to do next, and feel free to come chat with us up here. Thank you so much.